Oh, I'm Harper. For the longest time, I was one of those people just drifting through life without a compass, let alone a GPS. I was never the type to have a 5-year plan or a vision board filled with corporate ladder-climbing dreams. You know the type, right? By the time I hit 25, my resume looked like a ransom note made of mismatched magazine clippings. Barista, receptionist at a soulless dental chain, vintage clothing reseller, and yes, even a professional dog walker for neurotic poodles. But hey, before we dive into the deep end, if you guys love real stories that explore the raw edges of the heart, we need your support. Help us hit our goal of 1,000 subscribers. Smash that subscribe button right now, turn on notifications so you never miss a beat, and let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I seriously love reading your stories. Okay, back to it. Nothing filled the void. Nothing made me feel anchored. I was in a constant state of getting by, treading water on the surface of my own existence, too terrified to dive down and see what was actually at the bottom. I felt beige, like a photocopy of a person. It happened on a torrential Tuesday afternoon in November, classic Pacific Northwest weather, while I was ducking under the awning of a micro roastery to escape a sudden downpour. I was shivering, hugging my damp denim jacket, when I saw the flyer. It was just a plain piece of printer paper, tacked onto a soggy community corkboard, crowded with ads for hot yoga and indie band gigs. Admin assistant needed for custom woodworking studio. No experience required. Must have grit and organization. Woodworking. The word felt tactile, almost grounded. For a girl who barely knew the difference between a Phillips head and a flathead screwdriver, and whose greatest manual skill was thumb typing at lightning speed, I felt a weird pull. I was desperate for a paycheck, sure, but it was more than that. Maybe it was the promise of something tangible, something real in a world that felt so increasingly digital and ephemeral. So without overthinking it, my specialty, I ripped off the little tearaway tab with the phone number. The day of the interview, I was a wreck. I wore my serious adult costume, a cream blouse that was a size too tight and dress pants that had definitely seen better days. I felt like a total fraud before I even touched the door handle. But when I pushed open that heavy industrial steel door, the outside world just ceased to exist. The smell hit me first. It wasn't the chemical sting of a factory. It was a warm, enveloping fragrance, an intoxicating blend of fresh sawdust, beeswax, linseed oil, and something earthy, like a forest floor after a storm. It was the scent of nature tamed by human hands. The air was thick with golden dust motes dancing in the shafts of light pouring down from the high warehouse skylights. There were tools everywhere, chisels, Japanese pull saws, massive clamps and cast iron machines that looked like sleeping giants. And then I saw him. Silas was turned away from me, leaned over a massive, sturdy workbench, completely lost in the grain of a dark piece of timber. The drone of an orbital sander masked the sound of my boots on the concrete, giving me a moment to just stare. He was wearing a charcoal thermal Henley, stained with the evidence of honest work, clinging to his back in a way that mapped out every muscle tensed from years of physical labor. His arms were strong, tanned from the few sunny days we get, and dusted with a fine coat of wood shavings that made him look like a statue carved from clay. He moved with a hypnotic rhythm. He wasn't just working. He was having a conversation with the wood. When he finally sensed me and turned around, killing the power to the sander, I found myself locked in the gaze of eyes the color of dark roast coffee, intense, warm, and unnerving. He had that 3-day scruff that makes most guys look messy, but on him, it just looked like classic, timeless masculinity, like he stepped out of an old LL Bean catalog, but grittier. "You must be Harper," he said. His voice was a deep baritone that seemed to vibrate through the cavernous space. He wiped his hands on a shop rag tucked into his belt and walked toward me with a heavy, confident stride. "I'm Silas, owner of this chaos. Welcome to the sanctuary." He extended a hand. When I took it, his palm was rough, calloused, a topographical map of hard work, but his grip was surprisingly gentle, almost careful. I felt a static shock, a literal jolt of electricity that shot up my arm and settled right in my chest. "Nice to meet you," I managed to squeak out, praying my voice wouldn't crack. He showed me the office, a glass-walled cubicle at the back of the shop. It was simple. An antique roll-top desk, probably restored by him, a laptop, and stacks of invoices. "This is your kingdom," he explained with a crooked half-smile. "Paperwork, suppliers, the IRS, the stuff I'm terrible at. But Harper, the door is always open. If you want to walk the floor, you're free to. I like my team to understand what we build here, to feel the weight of it." For the first few weeks, I tried to be the model professional. I stayed in my fishbowl, organizing Dropbox files and replying to emails, but my eyes, traitors that they were, kept wandering out to the shop floor. I watched Silas, the way he ran his hand over a rough plank before making a cut, the way he furrowed his brow when inspecting a grain pattern, the delicate way he applied the finishing oil. There was a paradox to him that fascinated me. He was a mountain of a man, imposing and broad, but he worked with the delicacy of a surgeon. He taught me to distinguish the scents, the sweet perfume of cedar, the acidic tang of white oak, the spicy richness of walnut. I saw the passion burn in his eyes when he explained that every slab of wood held a memory, a story about the climate, the soil, and the years it stood tall. Slowly, without realizing it, I started falling, not just for the craft, but for the way Silas gave himself to it, body and soul. It was a Thursday afternoon when my curiosity finally broke the dam. Silas was unloading a new shipment of raw timber. These were massive, live-edge slabs, still hugging their bark, fresh from the mill, the air filled with the sharp scent of resin and sap. "Can I look?" I asked, stepping out of my administrative bunker. He grinned, that lopsided grin that was quickly becoming the reason I bothered getting out of bed in the morning. "Course. Come here. I want to show you something rare." He guided me to the back of the shop where the biggest pieces were curing. There were several impressive slabs, but he stopped in front of one in particular. It was massive. A dark, rugged monolith that commanded respect just by existing. It exuded an ancient presence. "Look at this, Harper," he said, running his hand over the rough bark with a reverence usually reserved for religious artifacts. "This is distinct. It's American black walnut, old growth, extremely hard, incredibly dense. When I saw this trunk, this sheer mass, I knew I had to haul it back. It's special." My heart did a somersault, not just because the wood was magnificent, but because of the intensity in his voice. The slab was gigantic, thick, and heavy. "Come here, touch it," he urged, taking my hand and guiding it to the surface. When my fingertips grazed the rough bark, I felt a texture that was brutal, aggressive, yet solid. It was like touching time itself. The wood was dense, immovable. "This wood is forever," Silas whispered, stepping a little closer. I could feel the heat radiating off his body, cutting through the chill of the warehouse. "It's damn near indestructible. When you work with hardwood of this caliber, with this kind of stamina, you know you're building something that's going to outlive us both. It's a legacy." I was mesmerized. Silas was talking about that slab like it was a living, breathing thing, praising its girth, its resilience, the challenge of taming it. "You got an eye for this?" he asked softly, watching me trace the cracks in the bark. "Not everyone can pick up on the energy of raw timber, but you're listening to it." I stood there, hand on that hard surface, feeling a strange heat rising up my legs. It was as if that wood, so potent and raw in its natural state, was transmitting some kind of primitive energy into me. The smell of the forest wrapped around us, and for the first time, I felt connected to a part of myself that had been dormant. The late afternoon sun filtered through the dust, turning the air into liquid amber. And in that moment, I knew that slab of wood was something special. And, inevitably, so was Silas. "It's incredible," I murmured, my voice barely a whisper. I never imagined a simple piece of nature could have so much presence, so much power. He looked at me intently, and the air between us shifted. It became heavy, charged with static. "That's the magic, Harper. Taking the raw and making it art. But you have to respect the material. You have to know every knot, every twist in the fiber. That's the only way to draw out the beauty hiding inside." As he spoke, I couldn't tear my eyes away from his lips. I felt a deep, aching curiosity about what Silas would do with that wood. What kind of masterpiece would be born from something so imposing? And, inevitably, I Stopped seeing Silas as just my boss, and started seeing him as a craftsman capable of sculpting something entirely new inside of me. After that day with the black walnut, my routine shifted. I stopped hiding in the office. I found any excuse to be on the floor. I started coming in early, just to watch him prep the shop. Watching him sharpen his chisels was like watching a warrior prep his weapons. There was ritual. There was respect. "Got the bug, huh?" he asked one morning, catching me stroking the dark wood for the third time that week. "I admit it," I confessed, feeling a blush creep up my neck. "It's got me intrigued. When are you going to start working on it?" His eyes flashed with a playful spark. "Today? You want to see the process?" My pulse quickened. "Absolutely." Silas prepped the industrial bandsaw, a machine that looked like it could cut through a tank. "First rule is reading the wood," he explained, placing his broad palms flat on the slab. "Every piece has a personality. You have to feel where the tension is, which way the grain wants to run." I watched, fascinated by how his large hands moved with an intimacy that sent shivers down my spine. It was like he was deciphering a secret code written in the tree's skin. "Come here," he said. "Put your hand right here. Tell me what you feel." I placed my palm where he pointed. The wood was warm. "I feel a vibration, a change in texture." "Exactly," he said, placing his hand over mine, his skin against mine, his warmth enveloping my fingers. "That's a burl, an internal knot. When I cut, I have to navigate around that. I have to respect the structure. If I force the machine, it snaps. If I handle it with care, that knot becomes the most beautiful part of the piece." His breath brushed my ear, and I shuddered. This wasn't just a woodworking lesson. It was a lesson in life, in touch, in sensuality. "You have sensitive hands," he murmured. "I don't know. I'm just trying to learn." When he fired up the saw, the roar filled the space. "Harper, I need your help. Hold this end steady. This slab is heavy, and it doesn't forgive mistakes. I need you to be my anchor." I accepted the challenge. I gripped the wood with everything I had, feeling the powerful vibration of the saw rattling my bones. Silas cut with surgical precision, and every now and then, our eyes would lock through the flying sawdust. He'd smile at me, approving of my strength, validating my presence. When the cut was finished and the wood split open, the aroma intensified tenfold. "Look at that beauty," he said, exposing the heartwood. It was a deep, rich chocolate brown, swirled with espresso streaks. 100 years of history revealed in a second. "Touch it." I ran my fingers over the freshly cut surface, smooth and damp with crystallized sap. "It's so soft, and to think the outside is so rough." "Like people," Silas said, his voice dropping an octave. "Sometimes you need someone who knows exactly where to cut, someone who knows how to polish you down to reveal what you're actually worth." Time stopped. I felt like he was talking about me, about us. In the days that followed, Silas taught me to sand. It's not about muscle, Harper. It's about rhythm. It's a constant caress. You have to go with the grain, never against it. My soft typist hands developed small calluses and grew tougher, but I felt more alive than ever. Every time he ran his hand over a piece I had sanded to check for smoothness, and nodded with a satisfied grin, I felt like I was on top of the world. Then came the final assembly. We were building a massive dining table from that slab. "I need an extra pair of hands for the glue-up," he said one rainy afternoon. "Clamp it down." We were positioned on opposite sides of the table, bending under the structure. Our bodies were dangerously close. I could smell his natural scent, musk, cedar, and rain. He reached across to tighten a difficult clamp, and his bicep brushed against my chest. I froze, my breath hitching. "Now comes the squeeze," he said, his voice a little raspier than usual. "It needs to be firm, all the way home. But don't strip the thread. You gotta feel the limit. You get me?" I nodded, incapable of forming words. He turned the handle, his muscles bunching with the effort, and I felt every turn as if he were tightening something inside of me. The tension in the air was unbearable, delicious. When he finished, he stayed there, inches from my face, his dark eyes tracked down to my lips. "Perfect fit," he whispered, and I wasn't sure if he was talking about the joinery or the moment. When we applied the final coat of varnish and I saw the result, I almost cried. That rough, dark, formidable slab had transformed into a gleaming, warm surface full of life and depth. It was a masterpiece. "We did this together," Silas said, stepping up behind me and resting his heavy hands on my shoulders. I looked at our reflection in the glossy table, seeing him standing guard behind me. "You helped me more than you know, Harper. Your curiosity, your fire. You reminded me why I love this." I turned to face him, tears pricking my eyes. "Silas, thank you. Thank you for teaching me that I can build beautiful things, for showing me I'm not just someone who survives, but someone who can create." He cupped my face in those large, rough hands that could tame the hardest oak yet touched me as if I were made of glass. "Harper, you were always special. I just helped you sand away the layers of bark you didn't need. And then it happened. Right there, amidst the scent of varnish and the golden hour light, Silas kissed me. It was a kiss that tasted like whiskey and wood smoke, solid promises and future plans. It wasn't a fleeting thing. It was structural. I felt my foundation settle for the first time in my life. "Guess we're partners now," he said when he pulled back, resting his forehead against mine. "In the shop and, well, we'll see where else. If you want," replied, breathless. "They say the best furniture is built with 4 hands. It's been 6 months since then. I'm no longer the lost girl who walked in dripping wet from the rain. My hands have calluses, yes, but they also have purpose. I can tell the quality of timber just by skimming my fingertips over it. I know when a cut is true. Our business has grown. We put a new sign out front. S&H, Bespoke Joinery. That century-old black walnut slab is now the centerpiece of a happy family's dining room. But the most important thing we built was our own story. I learned that sometimes you have to step out of your comfort zone and get your hands dirty to figure out who you really are. That true love is finding someone who helps you sand down your rough edges and polish your essence until it shines. Silas likes to say I was just like that massive slab, full of potential, strong at the core, just waiting to be discovered. And when my girlfriends ask me, usually over a glass of Pinot, how I found my true calling, I always smile with a mischievous glint in my eye and tell them, it was the day I saw his wood for the first time. That's when I realized that some things in life are genuinely huge, and you just have to have the courage to wrap your arms around them. Because at the end of the day, whether it's woodworking or love, it's all about finding the right raw material, no matter how rough it looks, and having the guts to work it until it glows. If you're out there looking for your passion, your purpose, or maybe that person who makes you feel like you fit together like a perfect dovetail joint, let me tell you something. Sometimes the answer is on a soggy flyer taped to a wall, or in the most unexpected place. Sometimes you just need to dare to touch, to feel, to let yourself be taught. What about you? Have you found that thing that made you realize life could have a different texture, a richer grain? Or are you still looking for the right wood to carve out your destiny? Tell me everything in the comments below, because every great transformation starts with the courage to make the first cut.